What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love is Blind Season 6, Episode 7, Silence Speaks Volume. So let's get started with Chelsea and Jimmy. So Chelsea and Jimmy, they are still going back and forth about Jimmy's behavior at the beach party towards AD. So at the beach party, when Jimmy saw AD, because AD came out body blazing, just body yada 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 for days. And when he saw her, and with Chelsea standing right next to him, he had said that her body looked really stacked. And not only that, but he had spent quite a lot of time talking to AD during the beach party. And Chelsea felt ignored, abandoned, neglected. And so she was expressing to Jimmy back at the hotel room how she felt. Now, Jimmy was making all kinds of excuses and justifications and saying things didn't happen the way Chelsea saw them when it exactly happened like that. So in my personal opinion, I think that Jimmy was pretending to not know what Chelsea was talking about, but he knew exactly where Chelsea was coming from. She felt some kind of way that her man was complimenting another woman's body and then giving his time and attention to said woman. And so obviously this pissed off Chelsea. Jimmy knows that it pissed off Chelsea. And I think that he did this on purpose because he's not feeling Chelsea. And he's just not man enough to tell her that he's not feeling her. So he's going to start playing these boyish, immature games of pissing her off to hopefully get her to break up with him. That's what I think is happening. So they're going back and forth. Chelsea finally says to him, I just need you to hear me out. I just want you to acknowledge that your actions made me feel this way. And that's all I'm asking for you to do. So at the end of it all, he apologizes to her. They say they love each other and all is right as rain with Chelsea and Jimmy. Now, personally, me, if my man did that and if I suspected he did this on purpose, I would have been out of there. I'm not going to tolerate someone complimenting another woman right in front of me when you should have known better. But anyways, whatever. She puts up with it. I wouldn't have. Moving on to Brittany and Kenneth. So Brittany and Kenneth, where do I start? So when we first see them, they're back at their hotel room as well, and they're having a conversation about Kenneth's conversation with AD. When AD had asked Kenneth if him and Brittany were ready to be in this interracial relationship, is Brittany capable of dating a black man, in this time and age? Is she capable of raising biracial children? Is Kenneth ready for all of this? So I understand. Like I said before, I totally get that racism still exists. There's a lot of people who have problems with interracial relationships. I totally get it, especially they're from the South. Okay. This is taking place, I think, in South Carolina, and I'm from the South as well. Okay. I'm from the South and I'm from an older generation than the kids on this show. Some of these kids are probably young enough to be my kid. So I understand where everybody's coming from, but y'all, I just don't think that interracial relationships are as shocking to the conscious as they used to be maybe 15, 20, 25 years ago and more. I don't think they're that big of a deal. There's so many celebrities that are dating outside of their race. We see it's so commonplace right now. I just didn't know that somebody needed to have like this heart-to-heart talk with Kenneth about, all the things he's going to be experiencing while dating a white woman. I just didn't think it was that, serious, but I guess it was. I'm not trying to downplay racism. I'm not trying to downplay the struggles that interracial couples go through in 2024, the struggles that biracial people go through in 2024. I'm not downplaying that at all. I'm just saying that if I was a part of this cast, my first inclination would not be to take Kenneth aside and be like, are y'all ready to deal with this? Maybe I would have asked him, if I knew that he had never dated outside of his race before, I would have asked him how he felt about dating a white woman because he's never dated outside of his race. How comfortable did he feel with it? But I wouldn't but you know what? It's whatever. AD did not do a bad thing. I'm just saying that was not what would have sprung into my mind initially. But I'm not like criticizing AD for doing that. I just didn't think that, that interracial relationships were like still shocking to people. I don't know. So Brittany says that she tells Kenneth, well, as long as AD came from a positive space, she had no issues with it. And Kenneth was like, well, of course she came from a positive space. Now I question why Brittany said that. Like, did she experience other black people not come from a positive space when they would talk about interracial relationships? Did someone bring it to her attention that black people don't like interracial relationships? I don't know. I wanted to know more about why she questioned whether or not AD came from a positive space, especially since it seemed like, you know, for the most part, these women all got along. So why would you think that AD would not come from a positive space? And aren't they like friends, or at least on friendly terms with one another? So Kenneth is concerned about the race issue, you know, obviously because he's never dated outside of his race. Brittany's not as concerned because she has dated black men. And so to her, it's not a big deal for her to date outside of her race. And Brittany seems to want to do what she can to make him feel comfortable, because I think she expressed to him, you know, what can I do to make you feel okay in what we're doing? I think she had said that to him. I'm not really sure. Maybe I imagined it. So the next time that we see Kenneth and Brittany, they are on a boat, and Kenneth has completely done a full 180 on us. The man who was bringing out her flip-flops for her and who was so attentive and caring, all of a sudden can't even say 2 words to her on the boat. It was very tense. It was very awkward. They were not speaking because Kenneth was not speaking. She was trying to make conversation, but it went nowhere. And it was really strange. It was like, where is this coming from all of a sudden? And I know it has to be coming from somewhere, and hopefully we'll find out at the reunion. But Kenneth had completely shut down. When they first met right out of the pods, he was like, oh, my love, you're so beautiful, my love, we got this, I got you. And now he can't even say 2 words to her. So it was a very awkward silence. The only thing that got him talking again was when they went past the dolphins. There was like this dolphin type of thing, and they their boat went past it, and he got really excited to see the dolphins. So then he was talking a mile a minute about how much he loves dolphins. He's got a dolphin keychain. He's kissed a dolphin before. He even has a picture of it. So he was like having diarrhea of the mouth when it came to the dolphins. As soon as they rode past the dolphins, he was mute again. So she had placed her hand on his knee, and then she asked him, you know, how did he feel about physical touch? He said he loves physical touch. He says it reassures him that his partner is into him, attracted to him, so he loves physical touch. So then she points out that he hasn't been very affectionate with her, and he tells her that he's been hesitant because he didn't want to smother her. I kind of felt like, because he's not used to dating outside of his race, I kind of felt like maybe Kenneth didn't want any Jonathan Majors type of situation. You know, that's what I'm thinking. Like, maybe he's worried about that. Like, if he tries to he didn't want his actions to be misunderstood. Let's just say that. That's the feeling that I got, because there was a moment where he had laid back on the boat. First they were both sitting up right next to each other, and then he ends up laying back on the boat, and then she lays back with him, and his arm was like laid beneath her, but it was sort of awkward. And so she kept on telling him to readjust his arm so she could lay down comfortably next to him. And then even after he did that, it still didn't look comfortable. Like, he was really stiff. And then she was trying to like hold his hand while his arm was laid out really awkwardly beneath her. And the whole thing just looked awkward. Like, he was afraid to touch this woman. And so it just made me feel like he doesn't want a Jonathan Majors type of moment where things can be misconstrued. It was almost as if like, he's like, you know, you're not gonna, I'm not gonna get got by you on this damn show. And, you know, lawsuits are being filed and charges are being filed. Hell no, I'm gonna keep my hands to myself. That's what it seemed like to me. So he got quiet again. He wasn't talking again. And I'm just like, Kenneth, what is going on? If Kenneth had an issue with dating a white woman, I think he would have not proposed to her, because I think he knew from the pause that she was white. He definitely knew when he saw her, so he could have still not proposed to her. So I'm just really confused on why he's acting like this. Or maybe it's got nothing to do with her being white. Maybe he's just uncomfortable for other reasons that hopefully we'll find out at the reunion. So Jeremy and Laura. Okay, so after the bean dip incident, when he had offended everybody, Jeremy iced out Laura because I think he felt like Laura set him up. And so he refused to talk to her. He said he was going to go home, but he didn't go home. He just went back to the hotel. And that particular night, he slept on the couch, refused to talk to her. The next morning, they have a conversation about it, and Laura was like, don't you ever do that again to me. If you have a problem, talk it out, use your words. Do not just ice me out like that. So he apologized. He says he would never do it again. And out of all the couples, they think that they're the ones that are on top, that they're doing the best out of all the couples there because they have the best communication. I think that's what they said. The best communication, but he refused to talk to her. I think that's what they said. I could be wrong. So moving on to Amy and Johnny, not much going on with them, as always. But they went horseback riding, and Amy said that she was really nervous because things just seemed a little bit too perfect for them. Like, they both want to hurry up and get to their first fight to see how they handle it. But so far, things are just way too perfect. They're going way too smoothly. And so they're both waiting for the other shoe to drop. Moving on to AD and Clay. So first of all, I got to talk about the weight thing, which I forgot to mention in my previous review that came up in episodes 1 through 6. When when Clay had told AD that he expects her to keep the same weight throughout their marriage, even if she has 10, 15, 20 children, he wants her to keep the same weight. And she was trying to make him be a little bit more realistic, talking about, how the body changes after having babies. And just as you get older, whether you have babies or not, the body changes. And he's like, I don't want to hear that. You're going to be working out, running, doing you're going to keep your body exactly the way it is now throughout our marriage. That's what he's expecting. I would have left. Okay, that would have been a huge red flag for me. I would have left, but not AD. So I just wanted to mention that. So let's get back into episode 7. So they're eating lunch. They're sitting outside. They have this beautiful view of the beach. They're having lunch. Clay tore up that soup. I thought he was going to start eating the bowl when he was done with the soup. So they talk briefly about what they're going to do when they get back home to Charlotte. And then all of a sudden, Clay tells her that he doesn't want to let her down and that he's really afraid of, getting a divorce and the marriage not working out. And so she senses like there's been a change in Clay, and she's wondering where the hell is this coming from. So she asked him, what is bringing this on? Like, this is so random. Why are you saying these things? And he just talks about the negative effects of divorce, I guess, referring to his childhood, because his parents, not even his childhood, because his parents were divorced, I think, when he was an adult. He was just expressing these fears of things possibly not working out. And he just really wants, and I'm just like, what's really going on here? Like, why would you bring that up? What are your real issues? Let's talk about your real issues. You're just kind of like skirting around what's really going on, and you need to let us know like what exactly is bothering you. So to me, I was like, we're seeing the very first signs of a crack in their relationship. Now let's all go to the second beach party. So at this second beach party, we find out that both Chelsea, Laura, and AD are having sex with their partners. And that's when like the bell went off. When AD admitted that her and Clay were having sex, I was like, okay, so now Clay is beginning to pull back because he already got what he wanted from her, which is what I had said as soon as they met after they were released from the pods, when he proposed to her. Not when he proposed to her, when they first saw each other. I felt like, he was going to stick it through with AD until he got what he wanted from her, and then he was going to probably, dump her. So they're already having sex, so he already got what he wanted from her, and I can see him now beginning to pull back. I could be wrong, but it seems like maybe that's what was bringing on his discussion about the possibility of them not working out and getting a divorce and all of that. So then we see Laura and Johnny. They're having a conversation, and Johnny is the one that is matched with Amy. So Laura and Johnny are having a conversation, and Laura, I felt like she was fishing around to see if they were having sex. And Johnny tells her that no, they're not having sex. They're taking it really slow right now because Amy is not on birth control. So they're being super duper careful about that by just not having sex. And I was wondering, well, why don't they just use condoms? But I guess to Johnny, that's not 100% safe. safe. He doesn't want to take any chances. So he needs to, like, you know, double up and triple up on the birth control. He can't just have one method. He has to have like an ironclad method of birth control. So they're not doing it at all. Even though they could use condoms, he's not going to take that chance. So then we see Jeremy. He's having a conversation with AD. He apologizes to AD about the whole bean dip thing. And he says that because of that situation, it brought him and Laura closer, because they had to talk about it. And, you know, they ran into, like, you know, that little issue with him not talking to her and thinking that she was setting him up or whatever. So this ended up bringing them closer together. And AD was like, well, I'm glad my ass brought y'all closer together. So Jeremy gives AD some inside intel about Clay. And he tells her that when they were back in the pods, there would be times when Clay would be really upbeat, really personable, and then all of a sudden he would just crash, and he would have these moments where he would just get really, really, really down. And so nobody understood why, but this would happen. And so AD was like, oh, okay, so it's not just me, because I guess she's experienced this with him. And so she's like, okay, so it's not just me making him act like that. This is just who he is. And Jeremy reassured her that, yeah, it's not you. This is just how he is. He was like that back in the pods. And if anything, to make you feel better, he talks very, very highly of you. So, she's really relieved to know that. So moving on, then we have Amy. So Amy is talking to Jeremy, and Amy says that her father is not really supportive of this whole entire process. So you know, he may not, she's worried about how her father's going to react. And she also says that she's never lived with a man before, so it's going to be a first for her to live with Johnny. And then Jeremy tells Amy that he's actually looking forward to meeting Sarah Ann. Now, Sarah Ann was his other relationship when they were back in the pods. So he was talking to Laura, he was also talking to Sarah Ann, and obviously he chose Laura. But he does tell Amy that he's looking forward to meeting Sarah Ann, and that if Sarah Ann is willing, he's okay with being friends with her. And Amy kind of has this look like, oh yeah, I don't think Laura's gonna like that once she finds out. That is so not cool to talk about how you still want to be friends with someone that you were having a relationship with back at the pods. So I was kind of like, why would Jeremy say something like that? Do these men not know any better? They say the most off the wall, ignorant things. Like, how can you tell someone that you're still willing to be friends with someone that you're having a relationship with? Like, that was just really dumb on his part. So after the beach party, we see Jimmy and Chelsea. Chelsea asked Jimmy, does he have any concerns about them going back to Charlotte, like them living together? Is he having any issues with that? And he was like, nope. Absolutely none. This is the perfect relationship for me. You're the perfect woman. He tells her that they're definitely going to be getting married. Everything's going to work out just perfectly. Moving on from there, we have Amy and Johnny. So, Amy's telling Johnny, they're in the pool, I think. This is their last night on their vacation. And they're having a conversation about her parents. And Amy tells Johnny that in the past, she made the mistake of sharing too much of her relationship issues with her parents. And so she's not going to do that anymore. She's going to, you know, keep their relationship problems just between the two of them and not run to her parents all the time. But her parents will still try to involve themselves into their relationship. And then she tells him that if her father does not give his blessings, that she will not be marrying Johnny. She has to have her father's blessing. And Johnny was just like, okay, that's that other shoe dropping. When they get back to Charlotte, in this episode, we only see Brittany and Kenneth when they all return back to Charlotte. So this episode ended with Brittany and Kenneth in their new place. Brittany is unpacking. They're in the bedroom upstairs. Kenneth is sitting on the bed. Brittany's unpacking, organizing everything. And Kenneth is on his damn phone. The whole entire time that she's unpacking their stuff, he is on the phone. And she even asked him, are you going to help me? And he didn't respond because he was busy on his damn phone. So there is nobody who is that important or who is that busy that while they're filming a show, they're filming this segment, your partner is busy you know, unpacking, whatever. And you're so focused on your phone, like whatever's going on your phone is the most important thing ever. You're not the president of the United States. You're not the king of England. You're not a major CEO of a multi-billionaire company. You're just Kenneth, high school principal, and your fiance is unpacking and she needs you to be present, and you act like you can't be bothered with her. So he's just busy on his phone. She's asking him, do you prefer the left side of the dresser drawer or the right side? He's completely ignoring her. And then after all of this, he says, you know, after all of this, you know, I think he was done with whatever he was doing on his phone. I'm thinking, okay, now he's going to give her some attention, give her some time. Nope. He tells her, I'm going to go chill downstairs. He gets up and he leaves, and he goes downstairs and he leaves her upstairs. Like, what is happening with Kenneth? It's just so bizarre how he's completely changed, how he did this 180 on us. Anyway, I'm at my 20-minute mark, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it on your way out. Please do not forget to rate the video if you like this content. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.